Welcome to r/Entitled Parents, where an entitled mother says that other people owe her money for letting her raise an entitled monster. Our next Reddit post is from Revolutionary Ant. Years ago, my cousin Lucy and I had a strained relationship because she let her son, Damien, do anything he wanted. She never punished him, and she brushed away anything he ever did as boys will be boys, or he's just a kid. It came to a breaking point between us when Lucy and Damien were visiting years ago. Damien was 12 at the time, and my daughter, Maggie, was 9. Maggie was sitting happily playing her Xbox in the bedroom upstairs. While Lucy and I were talking, Damien got bored and wandered off. A few minutes later, I hear screaming and crying. I rush up to Maggie's room to find her on the floor, with blood all over her face, while Damien is just casually playing the Xbox. It turns out that Damien came up and demanded to have a turn on the Xbox. Maggie said, "Sure, just let me finish the level." So he snatched the controller from her hand, smashed her face with it, and then shoved her out of the way. I rushed her to the hospital. Luckily, it looked worse than it was, and there was no lasting damage. And I live in the UK, so I didn't have any medical bills. But I was furious. I told Lucy what Damien did, and she shrugged and said, "You know how boys are with their video games. She should have just let him play." I told her in no uncertain terms that she and her son weren't allowed anywhere near me and my family. We got into a huge fight over this, where she, of course, tried to absolve her little angel of anything. So I lost it and told her that if she didn't discipline him and teach him boundaries, she would end up raising a monster who would grow up to be a thug or worse, which infuriated her. This caused fallout with the family for years, largely because Lucy lied and told everyone that her son and Maggie had just been play fighting, and that's how she got hurt. That it was just an accident and I was overreacting. After a few years, everyone forgot. I still forbade Lucy or her hellspawn from coming anywhere near me. Several other family members did the same. I can't imagine why. Fast forward to a little before the pandemic. Damien was 19. And just like I predicted, he soon learned that thanks to his mother, he was bulletproof because she would never believe that he did anything wrong. So his behavior got worse and worse to the point where he was kicked out of every school in the area and had to go to a special school. I got a call from Frank, Lucy's brother, telling me that Lucy had been rushed to the hospital. That he knows that we don't talk, but Lucy was seriously hurt and he wanted to let me know. Despite our history, I went to visit Lucy, accompanied by Frank and his wife. Before this, we had been really close, and I was upset to hear that she was hurt. When I got there, I was shocked by what I saw. She was really banged up, her face swollen, bruises all up her arms. It turned out Damien had done this. She was really struggling for money, and Damien refused to get a job, so she finally tried to lay down the law and tell him to get a job or she would be throwing him out, so he attacked her. She almost dislocated her jaw. It was horrific. Now, Lucy and I had a history, but at this point, none of that mattered. I was worried and sad for her. I immediately asked her if she needed help with anything. She seemed surprised, but we ended up all having a really heartwarming chat, with her saying how much it meant to her that I came to see her. I thought that maybe we were turning a corner and we could repair our relationship. We'd been really close as kids. Oh, how wrong I was. A few weeks later, I started getting blasted on social media and getting nasty messages and texts telling me what an awful person I was and how could I do what I did to Lucy. I was confused. I hadn't done anything. I called Frank. He had no idea either, but he said that he would look into it. It turns out Lucy had told everyone that I came to the hospital and mocked her, gloating, "I told you so," while she bawled her eyes out. I confronted Lucy about it, asking her how she could lie like that. She hit back that this was my fault, that it's what I deserved. She said if I knew this was going to happen, why didn't I do more to help her? She then demanded that I pay her £10,000 for the damages I caused. Like, what the heck? She lied to everyone because she couldn't stand that I'd been right and then decided to punish me for it. For months, I endured hateful messages from family members who believed her lies. Not all of my family believed her, of course, and Frank and his wife cleared up things about what really happened. She managed to record Lucy admitting that she lied, which got most people off my back, but there were still a few relatives who had it in their heads that there's no smoke without fire, and that I must have done something to make her say what she did. But they're all distant relatives on her side, so who cares? Then the pandemic rolled around. Everyone forgot the petty squabbles that Lucy and her lies caused. But last month, we held a family gathering at my parents', the first in years due to the pandemic. Lucy showed up. Thankfully, Damien was absent because he was serving a prison sentence for aggravated assault and battery. This was unrelated to what he did to his mother. I went to ask Lucy how she was doing. The first words out of her mouth were, "You need to pay me what you owe me. If you don't, I'm taking you to court. I need that money. It's the least you can do for ruining my life." She followed me around the party demanding that I pay her, telling everyone who would listen that I'd ruined her life. My, what a happy family reunion. Oh geez. It's so messed up to beat your own mom so badly that she ends up in the hospital. And then to randomly blame some other person who had nothing to do with it and say they want, $10K? For, where'd you even get that number from? Especially if it's in the UK where you don't have hospital bills, so $10K for what? Man, that whole family is just crazy, just loony. Our next Reddit post is from Attention Whore. I work at GameStop, and trust me, I have so many entitled parent stories. This is one that still baffles me. For a good couple of months, we've been selling out of copies of Mario Kart for the Switch, and we had one copy left. When this happened, I was the only employee working up front, and I had two families in line. Both were moms with their sons. The nice mom and her kid were in the front of the line. I said, "Hi, are you ready to check out?" The nice mom nudges her son up and looks at him to speak up. Hi, do you have Mario Kart for the Switch?" This is actually how he talked. He said this while placing the empty game case onto the counter. "Well, it's your lucky day because we have one copy left and it has your name on it." The little boy smiles and his mom starts pulling out her wallet to pay. This is when the entitled mother shoves past the nice mom to get to the front of the counter. "Did I just hear you say that this is the last copy of Mario Kart for the Switch?" At this point, I was annoyed that she shoved the other mom aside, so I respond, "Yes, ma'am, but if you wait for me to help out the other people in front of you, I can check some other locations to see if they have a copy." The entitled kid said, "But I don't want to go to another store, Mommy. We shouldn't have to go to another location because of your incompetence." "I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do for you." "Well, if you had helped me out first, then there wouldn't be a problem." At this point, I'm getting annoyed. She shoved the nice mom out of the way and then is telling me that I should have helped her first even though she was in the back of the line? I'm going to have to ask you to move to the back of the line and I'll help you out in a second. At this point, multiple people have now come in and the line has gotten longer. "You expect me to move to the back of the line? I was right behind this lady and her kid." "Well, you were until you got out of line." "Well, I am not going to wait in this line." "Well, you can stand wherever you'd like, and I'll help you out after everyone else." She then huffs and moves to the side, pretending to look at some keychains and small items. In case you didn't know, GameStop always has display cases on the wall, so even if we have a game displayed, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have it in stock. As I stated earlier, when the nice kid came up to the counter, he placed the Mario Kart case on it. But that was just an empty display case, so I moved it to the side so I could put it back later. I finish up nice mom and nice kid's transaction and they leave the store. Before I could help the next customer in line, the entitled mother shoves her way back up front. "If you're out of copies, then what's that case right there?" She was pointing to the empty Mario Kart display case. I tried to explain to her the thing that I just explained to you, but she interrupted me. "Don't give me that BS. Why don't you want to sell us the game? That's discrimination." I said, it's just an empty display case. You can open it if you want." "Mom, I want the game. You said that I could have it." The entitled mother then picks up the display case and just walks out of the store. At this point, I'm not really mad because I wanted her out of my hair and it's empty anyways. I can easily just make another one. The next day, my manager approaches me about a complaint a customer had that I sold them a game, but the case was empty, and she wants to speak to my manager. I knew exactly who he was referring to. It was the entitled mother who stole the empty case. I told him the full story. She's supposed to come back tomorrow to talk to my manager, but the funny thing is, I'm working a long shift, so I'll probably be there when she comes in. I can't wait to hear what story she comes up with. And then OP posted an update. I was waiting for the entitled mother to come in, and to be honest, I was kinda nervous about it. I knew that I didn't do anything wrong, but I had no idea how she would try to spin the situation and make me look bad. My manager hadn't come into the store yet because it was still fairly early, so I was working alone. And, of course, this is when she came in. I was bent behind the counter, and I heard a cough from across the counter like someone was trying to get my attention. When I looked up, it was her. "I'm sorry, I seem to have accidentally taken this empty case yesterday. You shouldn't just leave empty cases around. People might think there are games in there." I said, "Most customers know that we keep all of our games behind the counter, but some people don't know that and try to steal." "Well, that's not what I was trying to do. I just forgot that I was holding the case." "Thank you for returning it." The entitled mother had this smug look on her face. "I came back to pick up my copy of Mario Kart. I called in earlier this morning, and your manager said that you had a copy and I'd be getting a discount for all the trouble yesterday." "Ma'am, I've been working alone all morning, so there's no way that you could have talked to my manager. Even so, like I said yesterday, we're sold out of physical copies, and we haven't received another shipment yet." She looked annoyed. "Well, he gave me his cell phone number, and that's how I called him." "No employee at this store would give out their personal number." "Well," I cut her off. "You can always just download the game from the eShop on your son's Switch if you have access to the internet." "Of course I have the internet. I'm a working mother and I make plenty of money to pay for the internet." "Then you should have no trouble getting him the game that way." "Why didn't you tell me that yesterday?" "Well, if you'd waited in line like every other customer and let me properly help you out, then I would have told you about that option." "If you were a better employee, then you would have helped me first because I was upset." "I help people in the order of the line." The entitled mother then gave me a death stare and walked out of the store. No, yeah, she was definitely trying to steal it. That wasn't an accidental mistake. You don't accidentally walk out of the store with merchandise in your hand. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. This happened this past weekend while grocery shopping with my 18-month-old child. The town I live in has a big community festival each year on Main Street. It's a typical New England type of Main Street in that it's actually two different one-way streets with a big field in the middle. The small number of available parking spots around the area are usually taken by the vendors, so the town offers shuttle service from the local grocery store, which is about a mile away. This, in turn, makes parking tough at the grocery store, so I made sure to get there early. The grocery store has designated parking spots for customers with kids. It's pretty convenient because it's 4 spots on one side with a cart pickup and return in the middle. So instead of trying to carry my kid, the diaper bag, and the reusable shopping bags into the store to grab a cart, they're all right there, which is super important. I was lucky enough to grab one of those kid spots Saturday morning, which was great because there weren't many other spots available, if any. I was in the process of loading my kid into the shopping cart when it started. "Excuse me?" I just kept going about my business because I had no idea she was talking to me. "Excuse me?" I looked around and realized that she was talking to me. "What's up?" "You parked in the wrong spot." I gestured to the sign. "These are for customers with kids." At this point, I gear myself up for an argument about how they're not for dads with children, which is a disagreement that a friend of mine said that he got into once. "It says children, but you have one child. Children means 2 or more." I smiled. I think we both know that it just means customers who have their kids with them. "It means customers with 2 or more children, so you have to park somewhere else." I just started pushing my shopping cart towards the store. I said, "I am not moving." The entitled mother starts shrieking, and I mean shrieking, to the point that it made my child jump. "That spot is not for you and your one kid. It's for people like me with 2 kids." At this point, I decided to stop engaging and just get to the store. I am not trying to get into a parking lot dispute with my 18-month-old child with me. Hell no. I was almost inside when she started blasting her car horn. And not just beeping it, but laying on it, so it was just a constant horn sound. "Get your effing car out of that spot or I'll have the manager tow it." I got to the store just as the manager was heading out. He heard the yelling and the horn beeping and asked what was happening. I told him the truth. Some crazy lady was pissy because I parked in the spot for customers with kids. He looked at me, looked at my kid, and then back outside, where the entitled mother had just parked across 2 handicapped parking spots. Out of her SUV climbed two kids who looked to be about 10 to 12 years old. The store manager sees this and runs outside. "Ma'am, you can't park in the handicap spot without a handicap sticker. You'll get a ticket."
"I don't give a shit. There's no other spots since some douchebag is taking up the kid parking spots with only one kid."
At this point, the doors closed and I couldn't hear anything else. Thankfully, I didn't run into her while shopping, which was probably a small miracle. 45 minutes later, I was heading out the door, and I see a cop parked next to the lady's SUV, and he's writing her a ticket. In my state, that's a $150 fine for the first violation and $250 for any after that. I'm not sure if taking 2 spots equals 2 fines, but she's lucky that her car wasn't towed. Hopefully the cop wrote 2 tickets, one for $150 and one for $250. This top comment from Quibian. "You should have pointed out that children and customers are plural. So if she wants to use the spot, then by her own logic, she needs to be 2 people." That's actually true. That's very logical, actually. That was r/Entitled Parents, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.